Hello everyone, and welcome to my long-awaited, much requested, patiently waiting, I'm sure lots of people are, video on knife sharpening, or how I go about doing it. I've told a few people that I use a leather wheel for sharpening. That is indeed true, and if you can possibly get one of these, it's the best way you can sharpen a knife. If you can't, then I'll show you some other options. But these, I've never found a store, at least online or anything, that you can actually buy these from. I know a guy who has a leather shop and he built me one of these, and all this is layers of leather sewed together and then made perfectly round with a leather lathe. And so anyway, here's what you get. You get all these screws. If you do happen to get one of these, it probably won't be in balance, and in a grinder that spins pretty fast like this. This is just an 8-inch bench grinder, sorry. I've just put a bunch of screws in here, just wood screws, and they're screwed in on both sides where it needed a lot more weight. And it's still not perfectly in balance, but enough so that it runs fairly smoothly. So, if you possibly can get leather, that's definitely the best way to go. If not, you'd be better off to go with the next best thing, which would be a felt wheel, like this. Now, I don't have this mounted on the grinder because this is a 6-inch and I need an 8-inch wheel for this thing. This is what I have on this side though, and this is a cotton wheel. These also sharpen quite well. They won't do as good as leather, and also not quite as good as a hard felt. The reason being is when you're sharpening, you push into this cotton, this stuff will spring up a little bit on the other side. Not a lot, but just enough so that your knife will only get so sharp. So felt is a little better yet, and these are not hard to find. I suggest going to LeeValleyTools.com. So that's L-E-E and then Valley Tools, all with spaces. And they sell these wheels, which are designed for sharpening / polishing. And this is a 1-inch version, and I think you can get them in a 6 and 8-inch version as well for height. And they work quite well. They'll get your knife still easily razor, and as will a cotton wheel. So, now how we go about it is you have to put polishing compound on the wheel or else it won't do anything, or at least very subtly do anything. This is a coarser grit. This is all it is polishing compound. So this coarse, that's quite fine. These are the only two that I wind up using, red and green. If you need, this is really fine, but only really good for polishing. That's white. Past that point, you're not even really sharpening your knife anymore, so I've never needed to use that. But this is if your knife was really dull. And we won't be using this here today because I'm sharpening a saw aegis with Aus-8 steel, and it's already pretty sharp. So this we'll set aside. And what you want to do is just put compound on your wheel by So, all I did was just cover it in the green compound here. I won't be using this cotton wheel here. The pattern, or the way you do it, will be exactly the same as you'll see with leather. I'll just use this because this is the way I do it, and it'll get the knife a little sharper for demonstration. So, I'll go in and do some sharpening. It's going to be a little tricky one-handed, but we'll see what happens. One note, always turn your grinder backwards. It's not very handy to reach the switch, but if your grinder doesn't have a reverse on it, the wheel must be pointing this way, away from you. So sharpen it with the grinder wheel going away from the blade. The reason is, if you were to, say, tilt the knife too far this way, it might catch on something on the knife and fling the knife into that direction, or whichever way the wheel's turning. So if the wheel's facing this way, that's not a really good thing. So always turn your grinder around if it doesn't have a reverse, and very few do. So I'll go in and see what I can get done here. actually happened to the knife. Now if you're wondering if that got sharp or not. Yeah, definitely a razor edge on this. So that's all there is about pretty much this video. Just get a wheel that's tall enough to go around the sides or the top of your grinder here so that you don't run out of room when you're sharpening, like if this was too low. Keep the blade flat as possible on there, and the angle you pretty much just have to figure out on your own. Here's an example of what I was using. Use whatever part of the wheel you're comfortable in, but that's about the angle that I was using right there. It depends which way you want to do it. You pretty much just have to experiment, and I'm sure you'll figure something out. If you buy a leather wheel, again, here's your balancers. These wood screws put into the side so that you're not going to rattle your grinder off the bench. Secure it down with bolts. Always do that. Felt or leather would be the very best. If not felt, if not that, then cotton. Either one of these will put a razor edge on any knife you can find that has half decent steel on it. So everyone, thanks for checking out my video. I hope this answers all your questions. If not, let me know and I'll put some answers either on comments or add them to the description. So, thanks for watching. Cubworks out.